Yo! Video games.
Cut off, like.
Alright, what we finna do?
Hey, whatever you want.
Damn, Alpha 2, eh?
Yeah.
There's the chat all along.
Make sure it looks okay. This collection is actually really good. The problem is similar to Digital Eclipse collections. I mean, there's some, I got some gripes. Digital Eclipse collections on PS4 have so much input delay. Mega Man Collection, Mega Man X Collection, they have great. If you play them on PC, they're actually great. They're really good. They're actually really good on Xbox as well. But for some reason, a lot of games on like PlayStation hardware have crazy input delay, and it's the same thing with like Epic Games games.
Sucks.
It does.
This is supposed to be in Australia, huh?
Worst stage.
I picked the worst stage. What?
It's all flashing.
It's all, I mean, they're kind of fixing it now, right? The Epic Games guys have, the guys that make the Epic Arc engine, right, are aware of it. And they're trying to fix it on PlayStation.
Oh, I tried to spin.
Fuel in. I watched this crazy video of how like fucked up Alpha 2 actually is as a game. Right? How like it's turbo mode, right? When you actually select turbo in the game, skips frames. It'll actually skip input catches, right? So it's like if you set a character to do a combo that works, like a button into a button, in turbo mode, because it technically skips certain frames, right? It like technically it skips internal frames. Like that's a difficult one frame length combo. You set it to macro, it'll work, and then it'll not work. Like every 3 times or every 4 times you try it, it'll not work.
Oh, wow.
And that's because like the way it's catching frames, that's the way it works, because turbo modes were technically fucked up in older Capcom games. Yeah, that was Veritas, that's your video. I watched that whole goddamn video of the way like the internal frame timing of the game changes to like 80 FPS or some crazy shit like that. And the turbo mode's fucked up. And there's a lot of other crazy weird shit about Alpha 2, right, that is actually fucked up when you really look at it. And the funniest thing is that the Capcom devs were asked about this a long time ago, how turbo works in older games. Like, how does it actually work? Like, what are we doing to make the game go faster? Is it fucking up frame data? Is it just speeding shit up? And it's essentially like moving the internal clock, like running the game internally just faster, but the outputted frames are staying 60. It's super goofy.
It's actually better to play in normal instead of turbo.
Yeah, but no one's playing in fucking normal, dude. No one's playing this game in normal. Like, it's just like an element of the game. It's like an RNG that your combos will sometimes drop. It's an RNG that sometimes reversals won't work. And that's just been the way like a lot of alpha players have complained about shit over the years. It's just like, sometimes it just doesn't work. You think it's the emulator, right? You think it's like Fightcade or something. No, it's actually the game. Like, the game does that. Because Veritas, what is it? What if people traditionally play on what? Turbo 2? Right? Is that sort of the gimmick? It's not just Alpha, it's all old Capcom fighting games with Turbo are like that. That makes sense because it's like, it's the CPS2 engine, you know, it's the way they made their games. When they technically put games on Turbo, like they sometimes just won't catch. At random, things will just drop. Just because that's the way Turbo works. And goddamn, I can't even think of a Capcom fighting game that isn't played at a turbo. Right? That is played on normal. None of them are. Is that happening with the ports too? Seemingly, I mean, most likely, just because it's the way their games function, the way they make turbo work, the way like the speed up of the game technically renders frames. It's super fascinating, and it's based on like old theories that people have had for a long time, why it happens, like why it's happening this way, because even Capcom said, you know, no, it wouldn't drop frames, like, but even the devs were actually wrong. Like, people found out they did the science behind it, and it was like, holy shit, that's nuts. In the same way that Alpha has a comeback mechanic. Yeah. Like, there's a crazy thing that people didn't realize that, like, you technically do more damage if you're losing in the next round, if you're like the losing opponent or something. Some weird shit. Like, what the fuck? It's a very interesting video.
Revive me.
If you know the title of it, Veritas, or if anybody has the link to it, you can give it to a mod. It's some like wonderfully geeky, like classic Capcom fighting game stuff that really gets into the guts of the game and the code of like, so what the fuck is actually happening here, you know? And it's very fascinating if you're into that kind of stuff of games, of how they work, and what is going on to make this actually work. Turbo speeds in Capcom fighting games is the title.
Turbo speeds. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's very interesting. So is Lin Kurosawa in the pool. Also very interesting. Thanks, Nico. Thanks, Gigi. I'm gonna get some cake, dude.
Cake?
I need that big sleep.
Wow, an Ori.
Veritas, do you ever explain why the infinite jumping over works? Is that ever explained? Or just some kind of glitch that was... Fuck me. I'll see if I can do it. Maybe it's not in this version, but after you knock them out, and if you jump over them, you can keep jumping over infinitely. It's a family fun taunt. So, like in some OG Alpha 2. This is probably like a glitch or bug. But me and Steve use it as a feature. The end of the round, yeah. You can do inputs. You looked into it? Okay. Haven't looked into it. Oh man, come on. Oh, I'll go this way.
Right.
World's worst super. Yeah, it's the world's worst super. I think you could make it 2 of them come out or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. You have to hold it or something. You have to throw more sonic booms after that super? Okay. Oh, there we go, there we go. You're right.
Ah!
I found that video very interesting. There's so many people, including myself in the 90s, as I just walked back in, sorry. So many people, including myself in the 90s, really thought of like Capcom fighting games as like the definitive, like super polished, highest level of competition games because of how high quality they were.
Yeah.
You know, but when people actually like get in and figure out how they work, there's always some weird ass thing wrong with the games. There's actually like some big issue, not just between balance, but of just like how they work, you know?
Capcom was a gold standard.
They were a gold standard, yeah. And it seemed that way, but there was like... It seemed like they could do no wrong, but if you actually go back and look at the reality of the situation, there was a lot of like weird, goofy shit that made it into these games that like... It's just the way it was. It was riddled. Yeah, the arcade generation was riddled with jank.
What the fuck?
Almost all arcade games had some crazy janky stuff, especially in the 2D era.
Was this game forward fierce for grabs?
This Veritas.
Grabs are like forward medium. Like close and press forward or back medium.
Yeah, 'cause I'm
Yo,
wondering,
Mark, man.
I'm like, was it forward fierce or forward medium? Because one of them is
medium is
one
usually
of-
what I use in Alpha 2.
Yeah, because one of them is like one of these is like forward medium, and one is a lot of them are forward fierce.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
But I've never liked that. I've actually preferred both lights for.
Yeah, lights for throw always just made way more sense.
Yeah.
Than the classic SF2 style throw of just like mashing the shit out of it and throwing you.
Now, we always had the feature of the bug when it came to Karen in Alpha 3, where you pick that mode and one throw is 90% of your...
Oh yeah, randomly.
Yeah.
Like for some reason. I think that got patched out eventually, but I don't fuck why. Some weird shit.
Yeah.
I want to play somebody at Street Fighter 3 New Generation.
Huh. Okay.
Real bad.
Alright.
It's not online though.
Oh no, we get in this room.
Oh, the hell.
Damn, there are some weird ass frame drops in this.
Hell yeah.
What the hell?
Right?
Oh, yeah, you left, dude. The game was running a little chunky even on Eliza's stage.
Weird. Maybe I'll have to run it exclusive full screen. Yeah, this is running like shit.
Dude, I'm dead. You did nothing to me.
Birdie stage lags? Oh. I would believe Veritas because he's like an OG fight game player, so he's played this game 1,000 times more than any of
It's
us.
that weird little boy.
But this game is not running at 60 at the moment. You guys are seeing it as it is. I do have it on borderless window, not exclusive full screen, so that could be it. Koryuken. Yeah, wasn't this the one? I think that was either in Street Fighter Alpha 1, where Sagat shows up and he has Dan's father's body in his hand and he throws him away.
it off.
Yeah. Like, fuck.
Harrier stage is always nice. Oh. Ooh, Dan.
Actually, full screen there. It looked like.
The Street Fighter character? That'd be a male Laura. I like her style. Hybrid grappler. I'm not a Zangief, but I definitely would be a hybrid grappler. Jeez. What the fuck?
Yeah, if there's one thing that I actually learned tonight after playing Street Fighter 4 for not a long time, why footsies actually feel a lot better in that game, is that, yeah, there's a lot of recovery on footsies, on like crouching medium kicks and stuff like that. Good pokes have quite a bit of recovery that makes them easy to whiff punish. That really isn't, I mean, I haven't played Street Fighter 5, you know, in the past many years at a level that is very high, but that doesn't feel like that's the case in Street Fighter 5 in general, right? Is that a big difference in 5 to 4 chat, where your pokes and your normals in Street Fighter 5 are a bit harder to whiff punish and shit because they have faster recovery? They're like slower at the start, but they recover quick. Like, and in Street Fighter 4, they're quick at the start, but they essentially take way more time to recover. Feels better that my attack is fast, but then, you know, I don't know. Whiff punishes are more impressive in 5. Yeah, well, that makes sense, because they're harder to do.
Oh, wow.
I hope they actually go back to a Street Fighter 4 style of, like, the way normals work. Make the normals good, make them big, right? They're allowed to be big and they're allowed to be fast, but make them have recovery. Make whiff punishing fun. It's easier to whiff punish in 4 compared to 5. It definitely felt that just from my very basic playing with Steve. I was like, wow, this feels very different than what footsies are in 5. They're also stubby. Yeah, that's a very unsatisfying aspect of 5, where it's like a lot of hitboxes that just don't actually reach. New generation. I want to see it.